have to record this. There we go. Okay, so with this, we have to talk about attachment styles. And the first way we do that is by looking at Harry Harlow's experiments. And so Harlow, I always say this is like the meanest day in AP Psych because these are really sad experiments. There's this age-old question of what is attachment? Do we mean it's like love? Is it just whoever like takes care of us, we have affection for? So people used to assume that the reason we have attachment to somebody in our lives, especially like our parents, is because they fed us. They made sure we like had sustenance to survive and they kept us living. And so Harlow said, but I think there's more to it. So he said, I think that there's another factor beyond who feeds you and keeps you alive in that way. I also think there's like this comfort piece, right? Like one of the reasons you loved your parents when you were little and you were attached to them was because when you got scared or you just were sitting by them, they like snuggled you and hugged you and made you feel like safe and comforted. So Harry Harlow does this very famous experiment where he creates a wire mother and a cloth mother for these baby Rhesus monkeys that he takes from the mom, like they haven't weaned yet. They never had time to bond or attach to their actual mom. He rips them away and he gives them this. In the most classic, I guess, setup of this experiment, the wire mother would have a feeding bottle off of it. And so the baby could nurse off of that feeding bottle on the wire mother. But then the other one was a cloth mother that had no bottle attached to it, but it had like a towel or carpeted material over the top of it. And all he did was count how many hours the monkey spent on the wire mother versus the cloth mother. The wire mother had the food. The cloth mother didn't have anything but cloth on it. And so after these monkeys sat there for a while, he gauged how many hours each one was clocking in at. And what he found out was that cloth mother was much preferred. He also would do things to scare the baby monkey. And when the baby monkey would be scared, just like a baby or a child, when they're scared, they run to the person they have attachment to and they love. And so he wants to see if this baby is scared, who is it going to get its comfort from? Who is it going to feel better from? Okay, Cole, thank you. Go. So I'm going to see if I can get this video to work on here with volume.
A nursing wire
There
mother.
we go.
Now here are 106's two
Can you guys hear the audio on that? Okay.
mothers. As you can see, it was weaned on a wire mother. Here's baby 106. Watch. He's going to the wire mother. Got to eat to live. Oh, he's going back. He's back on the cloth mother, and he'll stay on the cloth mother. Actually, this baby spends 17 to 18 hours a day on the cloth mother, less than 1 hour a day on the wire mother. We had predicted that the variable of contact comfort would be a variable of measurable importance, but we were unprepared to find that it completely overwhelmed and overshadowed all other variables, including those of nursing.
So he uses comfort contact as his big word, or contact comfort, right? And he says that attachment isn't just based on who feeds you, it's who gives you that contact comfort. It's the same way, like if you've ever been around a small child, like a 1 or a 2-year-old, when they get scared of anything, they go and they hug their mom or dad's like leg, or they grab onto them, or they want to snuggle them. And that's because it provides some kind of comfort that, you know, it's not based on a physical need being met like food. It's just because it offers that amount of comfort.
Frankly, Doctor, if it comes to a choice between wire and cloth, it's reasonable to expect that any child go to the cloth. It's a matter of creature comfort, like a baby with its blanket. But is this really love?
Well, what do you mean by saying that a baby loves its mother? Certainly one thing we mean is that it gets a great feeling of security in the presence of the mother. Now, Mr. Collingwood, wouldn't you say that if you frightened a baby, that it went running to its mother, was comforted, and then all the fear disappeared and was replaced by a complete sense of security that baby loved its mother?
So that's the gist of his experiment, is that these baby monkeys will much prefer the wire mother because comfort contact is really the key part of how you form an attachment or a bond. So then, like I said, he has spent a lot of time creating a, quote, diabolical machine that he uses to scare the baby monkeys so he can show which one it'll actually run to.
This is the apparatus we use.
That looks diabolical.
That's just the way the baby monkey feels about it. Flashing eyes, loud sounds, moving mechanical parts, all of these things are designed to frighten a monkey. Now here we have a peaceful, resting baby monkey. Let's find out what his reactions to his mother are when we frighten him.
He's scared, all right.
And he does what any child will do in a similar situation.
He runs away.
It's more than running away. He was running to his mother, to touch her, to drive away his fear. Contact with the mother changes his entire personality. Look, now he's actually threatening the diabolical object.
So in real life with babies, they do this to our little kids. So if we had our kid day, if we were at school, you would have seen people bring in small children. And when the kid was first brought in, they would have been overwhelmed and kind of scared of everyone, and they would have hid behind the caretaker. But then eventually, because they would feel safe and secure because they have that attachment to whoever brought them, they would start kind of like peeking out behind and going and exploring the room and the new environment. Now, the other thing he did was he said, okay, these monkeys who were raised on like only a wire mother, they had no cloth mother around, they kind of turned out really disturbed and unable to cope with new surroundings and change. And so what he does is he puts these monkeys into a new room they've never seen with these random objects that they don't know what they are. And they either don't put a mom in, or maybe they'll put the wire mother in. And what happens is these little monkeys just freak out. There's these really horrible pictures of them just like crumpled over with their faces hid, because they're basically freaking out and really upset and don't know how to cope with anything. They just can't handle it because they don't have anything they've attached to or feel safe around.
This is a 6-foot square room with a few toys and other objects. But to the monkey, it's much more menacing. We know that when our own children are taken to a strange place without their mothers, they are often overwhelmed with fear. This room is just such a new and strange environment for the baby monkeys. No mother is in there. Now, let's put a monkey into the room. Notice how cautiously he enters the room. He's searching for comfort, but nothing relieves his disturbance.
So these monkeys they can't cope like that. I don't know if it's like a piece of paper or toilet paper or something. That's like the closest thing to comfort contact, like a blanket it can get. So it kind of huddles there. And if they put other monkeys in the room with them, this one basically doesn't know how to act, and it hides and almost is like terrified or scared or visibly upset by this change. So Harlow has proved that comfort contact is really what helps us form an attachment to someone. Even if somebody else may feed the baby monkey or another wire mother, it's wire. It's not warm. It's not comforting. It's not cozy. It wants nothing to do with it. So it doesn't get that attachment. It stays kind of away from that mother except to feed off of it. You even have examples where Harlow's baby monkeys will hang on to the cloth mother and then like lean over just with their mouths to eat off the wire. They don't even want to touch it because it's not comfortable. It's not cozy at all. So Harlow, you have probably heard his name before. When we first started this regular psych and we read our 10 unethical studies, he did the Well of Despair with these same types of baby monkeys where he tossed them in a secluded isolation room for the first year of their life. And then when he reintroduced them to people or other monkeys, they couldn't cope. They didn't know how to socialize and get along. And he proved like, oh yeah, see, isolation causes depression and awkwardness. So he didn't really handle these things very ethically. And so like this picture, I think does a really good job of showing the damage like psychologically that he's done to these animals, where this one is in a new environment and can't even cope with anything because it doesn't have the ability. It's lost that, unfortunately. So questions about Harlow stuff at all? Okay. Now, animals and humans, hopefully we know they're very different. And the question is, we know animals have something called a critical period, and we feel like humans do too. It's just really hard to kind of peg down. But it's this idea that after birth, there are periods in our life, these time frames, that we have to be exposed to certain things in order to develop properly. So a critical period that humans do have is language. In the first, I think it's like they say about 7 or 8 years of our life, if we don't have any exposure to language in the first 7 or 8 years of our life, it means that we won't be able to learn how to speak correctly. We might be able to learn like a word here or there, but we won't learn how to speak fluently. It doesn't mean that 7 or 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, you have to be like learning to read and speak fluently. It could just be that in those first 7 or 8 years, there's a critical period where you have to hear other people talk and you have to be talked to and you have to practice speaking. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So when we get to our language unit, Jeannie, or if you've taken sociology or IBS, I think they talk about her. Jeannie's this girl who was super abused and neglected. She was like locked in a room the first 12 years of her life or something. And if she made sounds, she was beaten and no one ever talked to her. And so by the time she was found, they couldn't teach her how to speak fluently. She could like name objects, but even when you listened to her speak, you couldn't understand what the heck the words meant. She couldn't really learn how to sign beyond like, you know, pointing to things and labeling them. And no matter how much therapy she got, she couldn't learn because there's that critical period. You have to be exposed to stimuli or something. Otherwise, that development window is closed and you miss out on it forever. Now, animals have a unique critical period that humans don't. They have an imprinting critical period. Imprinting for them is right when they're born, basically kind of like the first thing they see, they assume is mom or dad. And they assume they also are like the same species to some regard, and they attach to them. So I always think of, I love the show Modern Family. And in one of the episodes, the dad, Phil, collects these duck eggs. And he's super excited about him hatching, and his wife's making fun of him all the time. And she's like, those are so dumb. I can't believe you're keeping these ducks. He's like, just wait till they hatch. They're going to think I'm their mom, and they're going to follow me everywhere and love me. And he's not home when they hatch. The wife who hates these eggs is. And so then she has a line of ducklings that follow her everywhere because they've attached to her. They've imprinted to her. So for humans, we attach more through like contact and bonding and getting to know that person will take care of us. Animals, the first thing they see, which is typically their mother or their father, they like, that's it. That's what I'm going to follow. So there is this story, Fly Away Home. And it's this picture right here. This guy hatched a bunch of ducklings that the mom had died or abandoned them or something. And when they hatched, he was there. They thought they were humans. They followed him everywhere as if he was their mother. They tried to act human in some regard. And they didn't even know how to like fly or fly south for the winter. And he had to teach them by like hang gliding in this machine and taking them down south to show them what they were naturally supposed to do. So imprinting is something that only animals can do. Don't come back and say that humans can do it. We do not imprint. This is something that only animals do during this critical period right after birth. We have critical periods. They're just very different, and our attachment forms very different, and it's more complex than an animal's attachment. So when we look at attachment versus bonding, because sometimes you'll hear about when somebody has a baby, they have to bond with the baby or bonding has to occur. Bonding is a biological reaction that typically happens when a woman is pregnant. During pregnancy, because they're sharing that body. There are, you know, the barriers are being back and forth. You have bonding occur even then. Attachment is more so like knowing that you're loved and you're taken care of and somebody is going to be there to care for you and it's consistent. That's how attachment forms. So we can have people that have attachment issues arise if their parents neglect them or they're abusive or they're just not there for them enough. It can create these attachment styles that are probably not beneficial. You can even have it where they have attachment disorders if not properly handled. So some of these stages of development that we can mess with, where we can actually test attachment styles, is the stranger anxiety stage. So have you ever been around someone who has a baby who's around 8 months old, and when they bring them around, 2 months ago when you saw the baby, you could hold your arms out, the baby would come to you, wouldn't fuss, it'd be whatever, but then you hit like around 8 months, and if you try to hand them to somebody else, the baby freaks out and only wants mom or dad. They only want people who take care of them every day, and they flip out. Well, this is normal, and every baby we hope would do it because it shows that they have an attachment to someone. It's, I'm scared, I don't like new faces, I don't really know who you are, so I need to go to my mom or dad because I trust them, they care about me, I'm attached to them. So somebody created an experiment we could do using stranger anxiety to our benefit. Now, so when we look at now our theories of how we form good attachment, it's body contact, because Harlow taught us that. You need the snuggles. You can never snuggle a baby too much, never a kid too much. Familiarity, so imprinting in animals, but for us, we do have a preference for people and places we know, so just being familiar with the people who are our caretakers, whoever they may be. And then responsiveness, how reactive is a parent? If the kid has a need, does the parent jump in and help them? And also, how do they handle it? So you guys will have better examples of parenting styles when we get there, where you can we'll go over them and be like, oh, that's my mom. Oh, yep, that one's my dad. Okay, how responsive your parents are to what you need or what you're doing. Now, Mary Ainsworth created the strange situation with her colleague Bowlby. Bowlby was this person who was studying attachment to some degree. Mary Ainsworth branched off of it and did her own unique strange situation experiment. And in her experiment, she said there are 3 different attachment styles that you have to know. We have secure, we have insecure avoidant, and then we have insecure anxious or ambivalent. Okay, so we're gonna look at each 3 and we're gonna watch a replication of her study that she did, because thanks to stranger anxiety, I can tell what kind of attachment a kid probably has. If I make a parent drop them off with a stranger, what's the kid do? And then when mom comes back, what does the kid do in turn? So there's also a 4th one, which we don't have a ton of information on yet. It's just kind of recently popped up, so it's not one you need to know. But if you were to take a psych class in college, they probably would mention it. There's this disorganized type of attachment or disoriented. So we'll go over all 3 and then I'll show you the examples of them. So secure attachment, 65% of kids have secure attachment, and this is what we want. This is the preferred type of attachment. This is like the one good one. Okay, so in this situation, when we watch the video, what they're gonna do is mom and baby are gonna be in this room, an office space, playing with toys. And then while they're playing, they're gonna see how mom and baby interact. Is the baby playing with mom? Are they interacting? And then they're gonna have a stranger come in and sit in the room. And what's the baby gonna do if the stranger's in there while mom's in there? Usually the baby just kind of continues to play, but kind of like keeps an eye on the stranger and maybe scoots closer to mom. Then when mom leaves, baby flips out and starts crying. It'll probably chase mom. If it can walk or crawl, it will crawl after mom and start crying and really be upset at the separation. It protested is what they call it. And then when the stranger tries to comfort them, that baby's like, I don't know you, get out of here, don't touch me. The stranger will not be able to calm them. But then mom comes back after like a minute. And another key part is, what's the baby do? Well, if it's secure attachment, that baby will grab mom and then calm down. It'll be comforted. Mom's return, they're like, I knew she would come back. I knew she would take care of me. I'm lulled, I'm calmed down, I'm better now. Now, other ones may have this insecure ambivalent attachment. And this is where they always kind of stay close to mom. Like they don't trust that she's gonna stick around. They don't wanna go explore. They don't wanna go anywhere, even when it's just the 2 of them in the room. when mom leaves, it kind of resembles secure attachment in the fact that they like go and chase after mom and they cry, but it's more than just like, my mom left, I'm upset. It is like end of the world screaming, like over the top distress. And then when the parent returns, they kind of are like, well, you left me. I'm not going to calm down. You left me. How could you? They don't get calmed and comforted. They just keep freaking out, even when mom is back. And they never trust a stranger. Even when mom's present, they don't even look at that stranger. They want nothing to do with it. So this is one who just seems like they really need mom around and they don't trust that she's going to come back. And that's 10% of kids. Also not a healthy type of attachment. And then we have the insecure avoidant, and that's exactly what they do. They avoid. 20% of kids would probably be in this categorization. And so they don't really care when mom walks away. When she leaves, they don't cry. They're just like, oh, okay, whatever. When the stranger comes, they're usually like, oh yeah, you want to play with me? Like, it's like they don't have an attachment to anyone. So a stranger is just as good as mom or dad. And then when mom comes, they still don't even care. They kind of ignore mom when they try to get their attention. They don't care. They avoid mom completely because it appears they just almost lack attachment. And then we do have this weird category at the end, this new classification that you do not need to know, but we'll mention it. It's an insecure form of attachment. When they reunite with their parent, the infant's like dazed or freeze, or they may do the thing where, like, if you've seen little kids, like they kind of want to walk up to their mom, and then when their mom's like, okay, come here, they're like, forget it, and they walk away like, no way, don't touch me. So attachment is important because just because this is how your kid acts when they're a year old, this could mean if they don't know how to form proper attachments as children to their parents, when they grow up and try to have relationships with, friends, other people, relationships, romantic relationships, they're going to have trouble with it. They won't know what it's supposed to appropriately look like. So we're going to watch a quick video of what secure attachment would look like in the famous Ainsworth.
Can the essential elements of home life be translated into a standard laboratory setting for controlled scientific unfamiliar setting? How will she react to a stranger? What will happen when her mother leaves the room? And when she returns? It's Lisa's behavior when her mother returns, what psychologists call the reunion, that they are particularly interested in.
Most importantly is to look for the type of balance that a child strikes between an attachment need and, on the other hand, to explore the play material.
Once Lisa has settled down to play, a stranger enters the room and sits in the chair reading a magazine. After a couple of minutes, the stranger attempts to interact with Lisa. Soon after, Lisbeth gets a cue to leave the room. The stranger tries to comfort Lisa, but in vain. Lisbeth comes back into the room, and the camera records how Lisa reacts.
No. So this is what secure attachment looks like. This is what we would want babies to do when a parent leaves, and then upon reentry, the baby chills and calms down. So attachment can be with parents, it can be with family members, it can be with friends. Attachment doesn't only have to be one person in their life, right? If you guys were kids that were in daycare, you probably had an attachment to your daycare workers if they comforted you and took care of you. It's never just your sole parent or one parent or just your parents. It could be anybody.
They're perfect.
Yeah, that was.
I want to see them.
I know, maybe later today. Okay, so we'll talk about Erikson tomorrow, but he does kind of come up here in the idea that when we're young, we have to develop basic trust. So think of a little baby, and when they are screaming and crying, That is the only way they can communicate. And so hopefully they learn that if I cry or throw a fit, mom, dad, my caretaker, whoever it is, comes and helps me with whatever I need, whether it's I need to be fed, changed, snuggled, whatever, played with, talked to. If they cry and somebody always comes to attend to them when they're little, they'll start realizing the world's super predictable and they can trust their setting. They will develop trust, saying, when I had a need and I let people know, they came to my rescue for me. They were responsive to me. And that will make them feel like they are able to trust in the world around them. And if you can trust the world around you, you develop a really good self-concept, which is a sense of your own identity or worth. So if a baby cries and people come to help it, it's going to say, I must be really important to them and have a lot of worth, because they'll drop whatever they're doing to come and help me. Versus on the flip side, if a baby screams and cries and is upset and no one comes to help them, they're going to start feeling like, I must not be that important or that special. I must be pretty worthless if they can't get off their butts to come and assist me with whatever is needed. And so this is the whole, like, when you have a small infant, do you let them just cry continuously, or do you go in and step in? Psychologists would say you probably shouldn't let a super tiny baby just cry it out, because they're trying to develop their trust in the world and understand how things work and how to get their needs met. So we would want people to develop a really good sense of trust. Because if we have a need, babies fuss and cry, we can input it with something, food, comfort, voice, eye contact, smiles, and then we skip the rage and we go right to relief and satisfaction and basic trust, saying, I feel great about myself, I trust the world, I'm an awesome, valuable person in this family. Or a kid could say, I have a need, I cried and I fussed, no one helped me, so then I raged until I eventually wore myself out, and the rage made me feel relief because I'm just all out of steam. And my basic trust is, well, don't trust anyone because no one's going to help you but you. And my self-concept is going to be low because I'm pretty worthless. No one cares about me. And so I'm going to go on to become this adult that has no trust in anyone being there for me. And I'm not going to feel very good about myself and my worth in life, because if people couldn't even help me when I'm a baby, I must not be that important at all. And that's how I'm going to view myself as I grow up. And so all of this stuff is, all this development stuff is, whatever happens as a kid, it slowly does reflect on how you turn out later in life. So these are very Freudian things, right? When we talk about Erikson tomorrow, it's very Freudian of your infancy, your childhood does make you who you are later on in life. Now, you don't have to know this stuff, but it's like some of the characteristics that go along with a secure attached kid versus an insecure attached kid. So like most of you, from what I would say, my interaction with you probably had secure attachments. You have had normal development. You can make eye contact with people in a socially appropriate way. If I smile at you when you walk in the classroom, you smile back. When you were kids, if mom and dad dropped you off somewhere, you probably freaked out. People kind of get the wrong idea with kids, and they assume that if a kid freaks out when mom and dad leave and they cling and they hold and they won't let go, that's bad. It's actually a good thing. It's super annoying and it's inconvenient for the parent when they're trying to leave, but it does show that they have a secure attachment and their kid really loves them and wants them. So what happens if somebody doesn't have attachment of any sorts? We can look at Romanian orphanages. They're overcrowded, and it's to the point where some of these kids have a bottle like hung on to the bars of their cribs like you would in a hamster cage. And that's how they eat, because they don't have enough workers to snuggle the kids or feed them or even to like have physical contact with them. And so these kids have no attachment to anyone, and they have severe physical and cognitive deficits because of it. We also know abusive parents, their kids have like scars, physical scars on their brain from abuse and neglect. And so all these things, attachment is very important to all of us. Research has shown time and time again, you want to find somebody that a kid can attach to in a positive manner. This is just a list of very weird symptoms that go along with attachment disorders when you have mild versus severe. We don't really do a lot with attachment disorders. I know sometimes in like if you take child development, they talk about it, but we don't here. Just know that attachment disorders are pretty serious, and they kind of go off into every category of your life. They affect you. Now, daycare is something that I always think is interesting. What if mom and dad have to work and they drop their kid off at daycare all the time? It depends on the quality of daycare. If you have a good daycare person who your kid's attached to, like they love seeing, they run and hug, they, their needs are being met whenever they are upset or crying or whatever, that kid will have a positive attachment with that caregiver. And as for you, yeah, you're missing hours of time with them while you're at work, but when you're home, like just like hang out, spend time with them, don't be on your phone and watching the TV and stuff, interact, and your attachment will still be there and bonded as well. So daycare is great because we know it helps with higher thinking and language skills because they're around older kids. And it also has increased aggression and defiance rates because they're around older kids who know how to be more physical and know how to say no. So daycare is something just in our culture that is pretty ingrained. All right, the last one. Questions about attachment styles or any of that stuff?
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
For attachment styles, like at what age do parents stop like going to the kid when they scream, you know, like to not like get the kid what they want, just like train them, you know?
I think in Erickson's theory, because he's the one that has the basic trust versus mistrust, I think it's like the first year and a half of life, he says. But you know, like some parents are like, nope, from day one, I'm not going to do it. I would say that a lot of people will agree at least that first year of life, like you should still be responsive and going to them just in case. But I'm sure we all know people who did the cry it out method with their kids because they're like, no, they're manipulating me. But then a psychologist would be like, they're not, they just need stuff. So it depends on the person and if you buy into that. So any other questions? Okay. So parenting styles are really, really easy, and I'll try to come up with some examples from places. And I'm sure you have examples. If we were in classes at the time where all the kids start going, oh my gosh, my dad's like that. Oh my gosh, my mom does that. So parenting styles. Go sit down. I'm almost done. Nope. Authoritarian, permissive, and authoritative. So two of them sound kind of the same, but they're not. And then we have uninvolved and neglectful parents, which that's a category we always kind of forget about, but it's easy to explain what they just aren't around. They just don't care. They just step away. It's not that they want to be your friend and say, sure, whatever. They just don't say anything. They're just not there. So authoritarian parents, I have videos to show everyone what they are because it's easier. So my definition or how I would describe an authoritarian parent. How many of you have parents that when you say, hey, can I do this? And they say no. And you say, why? And they say, my house, my rules. I don't need to tell you. You have parents like that, or you know of somebody with parents like that, that's authoritarian, okay? That is where there's no dialogue between you. It's their rules. That's it. I don't have to explain stuff to you because you're a child. You're my kid. Even at the age of 17, you're still my kid. And so that's authoritarian. There is no give and take. It's very like martial law, their rule, they go for it. So I always think of Red Foreman in that 70s show because he's super authoritarian with everything.
Oh no, honey.
Yep, he thought he could sneak out.
So, what's now, Ho Chi Minh?
I want to tell you one thing. Playtime is over. Your friends are no longer allowed in the house.
Wait, what?
No, we'll talk about it in the morning.
Fine. We'll talk about it in the morning. We'll talk about how your friends are no longer allowed in the house.
So if you've seen this show, you have the dad who is very authoritarian. No, my house, my rules. This is how it's going to go. No discussion. But then the mom in it, she's much more authoritative, where she'll like sit down and talk to him about why she has a rule and stuff. So authoritarian, my way or the highway. Permissive parents, it is Regina George's mom in Mean Girls. Okay, she's super involved. She's like over involved in her kid's life. But she wants to be the cool mom, right? Everything is, oh, if you want this, yeah, just let me know. I'm the cool mom around here. That's a permissive parent. It's a person who often doesn't want to say no to their children. They just want to appease them and make them like them and be on good terms with them. So they don't want to rock the boat at all. So it's just easier to say, sure, yeah, let's go with that. You can do anything. You can have anything you want.
Hey, Kylie. Hey. Hey. How are my best girlfriends? My name's George. This is Katie. Hello, sweetheart. Welcome
welcome to our home.
Just want you to know, if you need anything, don't be shy, okay? There are no rules in this house. Not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Right, Regina? Please stop talking. Okay. I'm gonna make you girls a hump day treat.
Okay, so even this part where she's like, they gave me their bedroom because I wanted it. Like, that's all permissive stuff. I don't want to rock the boat. I'll give my kid whatever they want because we're going to be buddies. And then we have authoritative parent. Authoritative, if we had to pick what one is the best type of parent to be, it would be authoritative is the best parenting style because they stick with their rule that they have typically, but they are willing to discuss and explain why. So it's, yeah, you're going to do this, but here's why I think it's important. So no, you can't have your curfew extended because here's why. I've noticed this is slippy and I just want to make sure you're on the right path. This is one too where even with authoritative parents, if you maybe want to discuss your curfew, if you can make a case for your parents and be like, well, here's what I promised to do. I'll prove it to you. They're willing to be like, all right, we'll give it a try. Like there's more conversation back and forth between you and the parent to kind of have a conversation about things and explain things. So I don't think this clip's very great. I think it's off, but anything like Full House, Fuller House, anything like that, The Cosby Show, all these ones where it's very a family-oriented show where the parent sits their kid down and discusses, that's an example of authoritative parenting.
My science grade was an F, and Kimmy changed it to an A.
I'm just guessing she doesn't have the authority to do this.
I'm sorry, but with work and all my other classes, I didn't have time to study for my science test.
And you should have come to me and told me what was going on. DJ, we had an understanding. You wanted to be a responsible adult, and this is the least responsible thing you could have done.
I just wanted to prove that I could earn my own money.
Well, that's all out the window now, because you're going to have to quit your job and no hanging out at the mall until you pull up that grade.
Okay. I guess I'll go back to being a kid again.
Super cheesy. But this is a better example of, you know, if you and your parents, if you have a parent who's more authoritative, you can explain your side of things to them and they actually do listen. They may not change their mind on the discipline or the consequence, but they do listen and take that into account. I don't think I have an example of a uninvolved. Maybe I do. I don't know what this one is. Oh, is Matilda a movie that anyone knows anymore? Okay.
I love Matilda. That's a great movie.
I was like, this is an old movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but her parents, uninvolved parents, right? Like they have no idea what she's doing in this clip. They don't even know how old their kid is, which is a bit excessive, but they're just completely uninvolved and neglectful. They neglect her especially. And they just, it's not that they want to be her friend. They just don't seem to really want to do the parenting thing.
Packages come today.
It's really soft. Sorry.
Where'd all this come from?
Library.
The library? You've never set foot in a library. You're only 4 years old.
6 and a half.
You're 4.
6 and a half.
You were 6 and a half. You'd be in school already.
I want to be in school. I told you I was supposed to start school in September. You wouldn't listen.
Get up. Get up. Now, give me that book. Here's Pie. How old is Matilda?
4. I'm 6 and a half, Mommy. 5 then. I was 6 in August.
You're a liar.
I want to go to school.
So there's probably examples of this out there. At least the other ones seem to be involved. An uninvolved parent is and neglectful is probably like, if we're going to rank this, this is on the bad scale. There's no rules. There's no anything. There's no contact for the most part. So hopefully going through this, you could figure out what your parents maybe fit more into. And, you know, a lot of parents, you might have one who's more authoritarian and one who's more authoritative or permissive. Like typically parents aren't always on the same page. And that's what allows kids to figure out who the weakest link is and who that permissive one is and go and bug them about stuff. That's very normal for kids to do. All right. And so tomorrow, the plan is to do the same thing. Was this good? Did you like going over stuff in this way? Okay. So this will be recorded too and then posted to our Zoom stream on Classroom. So if people missed it or you just zoned out, that's fine. You can go rewatch it or go over stuff again. So tomorrow we'll do the same thing with Piaget and Erikson stages, since those are very odd ones to just kind of go over. And you have worksheets that are like graphic organizers to try to help you figure out the terms and the order of things. So you can give them a go before we talk about stuff, and then you can come with questions if you have them. Otherwise, we'll just do this whole thing. And then on Friday, I don't have any per se work for you to do, but at some point Friday or over the weekend, I'm going to do my best and totally break copyright, so don't tell anyone. There's a video I love showing that's like 45 minutes long from National Geographic, and it's called The Science of Babies. But it's all about how like infants have the ability to do math and all their developmental traits and their reflex. Like, it's so cool. It's basically 45 minutes of cute babies. But I'm going to try to record it on a private like Zoom conversation with myself and then upload it. So fingers crossed it works. Otherwise, if I can't get it to work, we'll just scrap the movie and you don't have anything to do but maybe work on that timeline of your life project, like get a jump on it. Okay. So what questions do you have for me?
For the Erikson and whatever worksheet, Piaget or whatever, should we wait till tomorrow to get started on those after we review?
It's up to you. If it was me and I had extra time, I would go and start filling them out, but I wouldn't submit them. And then after we were done talking, if I was like, oh, this is clarified, or I'll just ask Bozak when we have our meeting to fill in any blanks, that's fine too. It's really up to you. I would say the plane with Piaget, that one will be easier after our Zoom. But the charts, the graphic organizers, you could probably get most of those done before comfortably. Just that plane with Piaget where you have to figure out what anomaly it is, that one's a little tough.
Can you go over our assignment for tonight again, just with the bumper stickers?
Okay, so bumper stickers. I should see if I have examples of them. Here, give me a moment and see. I might have an example of one from before. Because I think I had people do them last semester, so let me see if I can find them. Yes. Let me try to find a decent example. I feel like she usually did good ones. Okay, so okay, let me share the screen with you guys. So this is one that somebody did last semester where they drew a lovely example of Harlow's monkeys and then made some like quip about their mom, right? Or let me see if I had other good ones. Cora usually did good stuff. Let's see. So this was hers for the critical period for imprinting with Conrad Lorenz, a chick hatching mom. So just things like that. It doesn't have to have definitions, just a picture. And if you want to put words on it, that's fine too, just to show me what one it's like referencing, right? I feel this is better than just having you guys write out the definitions because those are so like boring and flat and just not descriptive. So you are more than welcome to hand draw them and just take a picture and put them up. Or if you would rather like find some clip art, put it in and type up stuff on a Google slide or a PowerPoint presentation, that's fine too. Just don't go online and be like attachment bumper stickers because other teachers do them. And if you're just going to copy other people's, it's not going to be very hard to find that out. So please don't do that. If you're still struggling with ideas and stuff, you can shoot me emails. I'll be pretty much at my computer at home all day today. So let me know. Have these done before I talk to you guys tomorrow at 12:15. So they're not due by tonight. And if you have troubles, just let me know, okay? What other questions? Anything?
Is that PowerPoint on Classroom or on like your Google site or anything?
It should be. Let me look before I say yes and then eat my words. So let me look.
It is on there. I was following along on the presentation.
It was? Okay.
While you were doing it, yeah.
I was gonna say, I think I have everything opened for you guys at this point. So yeah, if you go under development, lectures and notes. I think I have everything, including the stuff we're doing tomorrow. And then these are the PowerPoints that I used for my lectures that you watched yesterday, if everything loads here. Yeah. Attachment styles, attachment parenting. I don't know if this is a super updated one. I might have left off some of the attachment definition slides for Ainsworth. But yeah. And then this is a chart that you might find helpful if you forget what they are for the attachment styles. Kind of is a nice little condensed, just simpler version, I think, to read. Videos are on there. And then this will be our Erikson PowerPoint. If you're filling out that Erikson worksheet before we talk tomorrow, which is totally fine, use this. All the stages are on this PowerPoint and helps you because your book, I will tell you right now, your book is super crappy with Erikson. It does like the first 3 or 4 stages and then it leaves you. It just has a chart, a picture, and that's not helpful. So I have this PowerPoint that you can follow along. And then I also have this also really nice cheat sheet chart. Okay. So feel free to use those. Same with Piaget down here. Our book does a decent job with Piaget, but there's stuff here you can look at. And then I did put this reading. You do not have to do it at all. But some people are like, I really am curious about this Piaget stuff. I want to read it more. This is an article straight from Piaget's actual research, and it goes over the stages, major characteristics. This can help you fill in your chart too. Okay, it's a good resource. And then we'll talk about circular reactions, which are super confusing, but we'll talk about them tomorrow in our lecture. I don't think your book even mentions them, and that's fine. Okay? What else? Nothing? All right. So I will see you tomorrow, same time, do this again, different concept. All right, please let me know if you have any struggles or any problems with anything, okay? I will shoot you back an email real quick. All right, it was nice seeing you guys. Go enjoy the weather. Bye.